house is like this old house from the 1940s, and I think it's on Wrightsville Avenue. And I went there and I picked up on like this older lady that was in the kitchen, but then I was like, oh, well, this house kind of reminds me of my great aunt's house, and like she would be in the kitchen, and like, that would make sense. Like, I totally talked myself out of it. And then I was talking to the hairstylist about it, and she was like, yeah, we think like the old owner haunts here. Like, she's an older lady. And I was like, well, I'm psychic. What do I feel when spirits are around me? Sometimes it's a claircognizant, sort of like there's somebody there. Sometimes it's a clairsentient thing, like it's like their energetic field. It's like if you were to close your eyes and then walk around the room, like if you really give yourself space and time, you can pick up on like where other living people are, or when your energetic field gets close to like a hard surface such as the wall. So those are usually my two big hints. Occasionally it's like out of the corner of my eye, like where I am now. I saw the ghost of a man on the third balcony last night, and I was so, no, wait, this wasn't last night, this was the night before. I was so like conked out of it that like I once again tried to talk myself out of it, and I was just like, oh, they look like a man. And like I was carrying like this big package, and I was tired and like all this stuff, and I looked up, and like the weird thing was I looked up and I looked down, and it's like the memory of how he looked, like transparent but there, hit my eyes. And I kind of went away with it, and then I looked up again, as one does, and my eyes refocused to the living, the physical, and that kind of thing. And so I didn't see him with my eyeballs when I looked back, and then I was like, oh, I guess he left. And then I utilized my other skill sets like clairsentience, claircognizance, and no, he was still there. I still picked up on his energy. I still picked up on his emotion. I did the thing that most people do, where they look up and they're like, he's gone. And it's like, no, he didn't walk away or anything. I just refocused my eyes to seeing things in the physical. So that was on me. I do it too. Hey Roxy, hey Joey. You can grow your clair abilities, Maggie. Mine were not always this keen. I had to grow them. And that's why I teach now, because I want other people to be able to feel more confident in doing that as well. Rupert he took a day to rest today. That's how he is. So if you're having trouble keeping your awarenesses, I think that's a great opportunity to look at your living life and to try and figure out if there are things keeping you from your own focus. Like oftentimes spirit stuff and clair abilities are like the first thing to go as soon as like life kicks in. So look at the things that are stressing you out and making you feel like you have to live very much in the physical. And once you can address those things, you can allow yourself some more grace and some more calm in order to focus on the spiritual. Certainly focus on the physical first. Focus on the mental health and the physical. Yeah, got my lanyard for sacred spaces. Haunted by a spirit from my past life? How do I go about this? Please and thank you. Elizabeth, you're haunted from a spirit from your past life. You're not the first person to tell me that. I mean, every case will vary, but remember, like with any spirit, it's really going to come down to your willpower, your putting up your own boundaries, putting up your own shields, and being strong and straightforward with, what you're comfortable with. And I know this firsthand because I have also met ghosts from my past lives, lives at this point. So, yeah, it does come down to willpower for sure. Hey, Autumn. I hope things are going well for France. I know you just finished the first one. Oh, cool. Makes your feet tingle. Yeah, that's clairsentience. And that's also a very valid skill. Please don't think that seeing them with your physical eyes is the end all be all. Thanks for the gifts, y'all. I'm trying to keep up. Okay, so now that I've been talking a little bit, moving around, how's the sound? Does this still work for everybody, or is it doing like weird clicky annoying things? I am on Instagram and YouTube. Please follow me there. I have a lot of content on both of those platforms. So please, please, please do not lose me. All of those links are in my bio. And those are my only socials. I don't have multiple pages. I have different pages for different things, but for Rebecca the Ghost Guide, it's just that. How common is it for deities to watch over a soul over different lives? Pretty common, yeah. And it's pretty cool. Like, they care. I remember coming from the background that I did when I was just like, wait, gods care about us? Like, what? So, when you sleep and dream about something that happens in real life, is that a psychic dream? Yeah, that could be considered a premonition. It could also be considered, yeah, I mean, I would say it's premonition. Thank you for the rose. That's cool. Also, how's the sound? Okay, it sounds good. Okay, thank you, thank you. There, I see it. Cool. Great. Wow, this is a happening group tonight. Thank you for following my YouTube for years. My goodness. Is there a live from Instagram? Yeah, I can go live on Instagram. And I won't be live there next week because, wait, no, I will be live next week. Goodness. um, January is so long. Like, it's so long. I'm trying to keep up. So cool. Thank you, Splenda Sunday. Yeah, I just got a haircut. So I'm just pulling up my notes so that I remember what the heck I'm talking about tonight for the podcast. So yeah, February is going to be longer this year. Could Christians who have abilities consider the deities angels? Just curious, not religious. Yeah, oftentimes they do. And it's wild. We have a lot of crossover from some angels that have cropped up, especially like saints. So yeah, similar frequency, but certainly different. Yay! Thanks for saying that, Roxy. Will meditation help with spirit guide contacting, or are there other ways? There are a lot of ways to get into theta. So essentially, meditation is a way to get into theta brainwaves in order to better connect with spirit, whether that be guides, deities, past loved ones, etc. So if traditional meditation is not working for you, look at other ways to get into the theta brainwave state. I have some courses about that on my Patreon, and I also am hosting something called Quakerish once a month, which I hosted already last month, and that went really, really well. And at the beginning of that, I talk about like different ways to kind of help your brain calm down so that you can center better or meditate better or connect better or like whatever. That's actually available to all of my Patreons, both paid and unpaid. I didn't want to put that behind a paywall just because I think it's really, really useful for everybody. And it's just something that I lead once a month where we can just, connect with our own spirits first and what we believe in. And you can use those things to better connect with other spirits later as you like. There we go. What's my favorite haunted city? Ooh, these questions are so good. Here I was being like, oh, I'll jump into the podcast, do some things, but like these are really good questions. My favorite haunted city would be the one that I'm living in, which is Wilmington, North Carolina. It's so underrated and I absolutely love it here. There's so many stories, so many ghosts. I would say my next favorite haunted city would be Savannah, Georgia. When you see things in your mind's eye, where do you generally feel it around your head? I don't always I don't always feel something around my head when I see with my mind's eye. Though if you're referring to any tension or like muscle tension, like around your third eye, that could just mean that you're utilizing a new skill set. It's just like with any muscle, you start using it and it starts telling you that it's being used through various ways. Though depending on the spirit, I can clairsentiently figure, or goodness, clairsentiently fig. What am I saying? Clairsentiently pick up on things. Like if somebody passed a certain way or they're having tension or something like that, I may pick up on something around the head, but I may also pick up on like other wounds or something like that that hit me wherever that happened. Sometimes I will pick up on different illnesses that they may have had, etc., stuff with the lungs, the heart. But typically, as soon as I start picking up on that, it's more of like a, okay, I understand that now. I don't want to feel it anymore. I can understand it without like absorbing it. What states have I not been to? Pretty much everything in the Midwest. I've hit up most of the East Coast, most of the West Coast. I've hit up, thank you for the gifts. I've hit up Illinois, Ohio, Tennessee, Missouri. Yeah, so I've hit up a lot. I don't know if it's as many as half, but yeah. These are good questions. Thanks for all these questions. I love that. Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah, I have yet to go there. Springfield, Illinois is underrated, haunted. Cool. I've already been through North Florida. I've been to St. Augustine. I've been to, goodness, I've also gone down Miami, Key West, Orlando. I've kind of gone through Jacksonville, but not like seriously. West Palm Beach, I went there. So I haven't gone more like Northwest Florida. I think if I'm to go to Florida again, I'll probably go to like the Everglades or like some state parks or something like that. I'm not too interested in going to the cities right now, just because the climate. And I know that doesn't represent everybody, and I do believe that like the populace as a whole are made up of really good people. I just I question my own safety being queer and being open spiritually and that sort of thing. So there are some states that I don't know about right now, unfortunately. And I want to believe that people are, you know, that they would be kinder than the representations that we sometimes see on media and maybe the laws that are being made, though we are in times where I am having to look at those things differently. So I don't know when I'm going to go to Florida again. I haven't done any haunted stuff in Ohio. What do I feel about unsolicited medical psychic advice? I get some, and it don't sit right. It doesn't sit right. Anything unsolicited, bad vibes. Absolutely bad vibes. Like, are you talking about? Do people ever comment on your videos and they're like, "Hey, I've been picking up on a block," or "Hey, I've been picking up on like your kidneys," or something like that? That is totally inappropriate. Anything that is unsolicited, whether it be psychic, whether it be medical, whatever, if you didn't ask for it, you didn't ask for it. And also, I don't allow people to read my energy accurately unless they have my permission. Because I have had people try to read me without my permission and it comes back wonky. So truly protect yourself. Anybody can do that. It's just speaking into existence. So yeah, I whenever somebody, like, because I have that every now and then, somebody will be in my comments and they'll be like, "Oh, you know, you have this tension and you're this and that," and I'm just like, that's really interesting, because I have tension somewhere else, and I don't tell them this, but I'll be like, I have tension somewhere else, but you picked up on it somewhere else. And I'd like to think I know my body better than somebody who was not given permission to read my energy. So that's where I'm at. Yes, guard, shield, and ground, and consent. Correct, ma'am. I'm trying to keep up with comments. There's a lot coming in, which I'm grateful for. Why can you see ghosts on accident but not on purpose? Because theta often happens on accident. That's why. You have to relax into being able to activate your psychic senses. So often people, they really try to get into the mindset of like, I have to see it clearly. And that's what we do when we're in fight or flight. That's what we do when we're like in hunting mode or like survival mode. When you're seeing spirits, you have to relax. You have to relax. That's why people oftentimes only see spirits accidentally. Yeah. Am I moving into the van soon? Yeah. So I'm like, I'm pretty much moved in. This is I just moved into new space. You know what? You know what? I will actually start the official podcast. I've really loved like reading your messages and your excuse me, comments. So I just wanted to jump in with that first. So I think I will actually start the podcast, which by the way, everybody, I do have a podcast. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's Rebecca the Ghost Guide live and it's on Spotify. And I've got a bunch of episodes up on a bunch of different things. Thank you for the gift. That's a cool one. Thanks. Happy Friday. Yeah. So for the podcast recording, please know I will kind of be hit or miss with the comments. It's not because I don't want to see what you're writing. It's just I can only focus on so much at once. And no, you did not miss it, Tom. Correct. So like little things like that I may comment on, but then like moving forward. But you're welcome to utilize the chat. Please keep liking the live. That super helps. And I will read things. I trust when I'm supposed to be reading things, and we'll just go from there. So, yeah, that'll be that. Okay, so mods, do your mod things. Okay, so sorry, I'm a bit distracted because they're like children right there. Thank you, Sea Nymph. And they're like screaming because apparently children like need to scream or something like that. I'm gonna have some water and ground. Water. Yes, and thank you for answering each other's questions in the chat. I do appreciate that. So, I'm really like, how many children live there at this point? Or maybe it's a sleepover. I don't know. But are they always like this? Like, I'm new to this location. But anyway. Okay. Okay. Mods, do you happen to know how to pin one of your comments? If not, can you message Caitlin? Because she usually does that. That way you don't have to keep repeating. I think you just have to hold down the comment and then it'll come up. Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you. Thank you for pinning that. Okay. Have I been getting buff? Have I been getting buff? Will I actually start this podcast? Because now I'm like, am I getting buff? Is this what buff looks like? I actually did this for like Theron earlier, and Theron was like, oh my god. I was like, what? I look strong? Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, please block and report them spammers. That's no good. So, all right. So, let's start this podcast. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Rebecca the Ghost Guide Live. I am your host, Rebecca Carmichael, and I'm coming to you live, currently from Wilmington, North Carolina. And I am here to help you better understand the spirits within you and around you, specifically the ghosts. But we've been talking about spirits. By the way, everybody, I am on my regular Friday night live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with 102 other people. And I have just been on here for about 20 minutes now, just answering questions from people. And I thank you so much for your questions. I will have a time again at the end of the podcast for questions. So if you get a good question that is talking about what in the world we were talking about, like just save it and then punch it in when you need to. Now, typically I go live on TikTok and I'm in the United States, and this might be the last TikTok live. I don't feel like it's going to be, though as of now it is. So I will be going live. I'll just be going live on Instagram probably. I feel like Instagram's probably the place I'll be going live. Every now and then I look to be going live on YouTube as well. And we will make do. By the way, if you have not been over to my YouTube, I have so much content. Honestly, I have so much content. I have significantly slowed down with making so much long form content just because I have so much and a lot of people have not seen it. So that's why I don't have as much coming out right now. Though I may actually post the long form version of this live on YouTube because why not? But yeah, here we are. I actually want to show I made this candle. And by the way, for my Spotify listeners, I am actually going to be uploading the video for this one. So I think you're going to want to see it. So if you want to watch like the video or just go to the YouTube, like it's totally cool. But yeah, I made this candle and it's for manifesting money, abundance, that kind of thing, just because I don't believe money is a bad thing. I think money is a form of freedom. I had this conversation with Intuitive Entrepreneurship Club, which is an extension of my private community. And we talked about what money meant to us. And we're actually opening up a book club on Financial Feminist, which is a great book. I recommend following the author. Her handle is Her First 100K. And it's very inspirational. It's about breaking down the shame around money. It's about encouraging one another. It's very much about like, how can we build each other up with this understanding of money rather than feeling like it's a competition, etc. So that's where I come from with money, and truly I hope the same for everybody else. And oh my goodness, there we go. We're gonna stick that back in there. So this is a candle. This is one of the first candles that I made. And yeah, you know what? I'm gonna read that out loud. I have not lit this candle yet, as you can see. And of course it has like all the glitter ever because obviously I do know who I am. Gold glitter all the way, yes. So my affirmation for this candle is the more money and wealth that is in my hands, the more good that circulates into the universe. That's something I want to call in, and that's also something that I want to give to the collective. I want to be a part of the good that we have on this earth. Also, another classic affirmation, the more I relax, the more I receive. The best money finds me. The best money makes me free. And with that said, we're gonna light this thing. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Lighting it, lighting it. The wick is kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There it goes. Yay! I wish that we all grow in abundance and freedom, in kindness and goodness. And should money be part of the thing that takes us there, allow it to be. Though, if it's more like trading services, trading experiences, etc., may that be. These things are not bad. But yeah, this is how the candle's starting. I would keep holding it, but as you can see, I'll probably blow it out with my breath. So yeah, this is an electric lighter, very satisfying for sure. For sure, for sure. Also, you will notice I am outside of my tent because the tent has been taken down officially. I am pretty much moved into the van for long-term use. However, when I'm in Wilmington, I moved into my partner's place. So my lovely partner, Theron, is keeping all of these wonderful things safe behind me. They matter very much to me, and it's not necessarily that they're like super expensive, but they just have a lot of intrinsic value to me. I like to collect stories and I like to collect little things from my stories. So I have like a variety of things behind me, which I thought it might be nice to share some of those things with you to kind of explain like how they got here. But yeah, this is basically all of my like not worldly possessions, but all of my like little intrinsic value things. I have like a little nook in the apartment for my things. And then Theron gets to be artistically creative with the rest of it, and I just get to enjoy it. So yes. Before I went into that, I thought for tonight, I really wanted to just hold a time of gratitude for the people that I have met on TikTok. And oh goodness, am I gonna have feelings about this? Am I having a feelings night? Yeah, because most of these people I met all through TikTok. And I wanted to also give you an update on who I am considering a colleague now. I've had some people come and go just because maybe they wanted some more like space, or they didn't want to be online as heavily anymore, or they didn't have the capacity to do readings, etc. Or, maybe I just parted ways with them. There are a lot of things. So I really just wanted to catch everybody up on who are the people that I'm regularly looking at for content, who are the people that I'm regularly looking towards working with in the future, and etc. So, goodness, my feelings. That full moon like a week ago was like a lot, and I'm still feeling it, but like whatever. Okay, so okay, feelings. The most impactful person that I have met on TikTok has been Theron. Theron, known as Theron Beyond the Veil. We found each other. We mutually followed each other. Embarrassing story. I thought that Theron was from the Conjuring House, which I also follow the girl who's from the Conjuring House, who's on TikTok. But yeah, I thought Theron was from the Conjuring House, and I was like, oh, how cool. I am definitely going to follow them. And then they followed me back, and I was just like, oh, cool. I agreed to go live with them before like duet lives were a thing. And we just talked, and I answered questions, and that was that. And then we didn't talk for months, and then they like texted me about like a ghost thing, and I was like, this is what I would do. We met later in the year. We just ran around Wilmington, and I showed them all the sites, and I found out later that they were actually figuring out if I was really psychic or not. Yeah, your house practically could be the Conjuring House. I agree. I would say your house growing up there and was far worse than the Conjuring House, but that's just my opinion. So, yeah, we ran around Wilmington. They wanted to see if I was legitimate, and then they figured out that I very much was, which I was like, I'm just talking about ghosts. Like, I wasn't trying to prove anything. I was just sort of like, woo. And I love it. Later, they were like, whoa, you are real. You're really good at this. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Here's this guy. That was my whole thing. So we started talking more after that. And, over the years, we've just gotten closer. And now we're like really, really close, which is really cool. And now we're like living together and stuff. So, yeah, Theron has certainly changed my life. I believe Theron has changed the original trajectory of what I was going to be doing with my life, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I am so grateful. So, yeah, this app did that. This app matched me with somebody that I'm going to be spending my life with, and who has made me feel more seen and beautiful and real and grounded, and wow, that wouldn't have happened otherwise. So that's something good about this app. Yeah, from there, the next person I will talk about is Emily Dexter, who is liker of words. I'm just gonna like be emotional for this. Emily actually found me. She found me for her previous podcast, and this was back in, I believe, 2020 into 2021. Asked me to be on that podcast, and I was like, yeah, sure, And then we kind of, I was still following her, and from there, I started to see that she offered psychic activation courses. So I was like, oh, okay, cool, I should do that. And I did, and her courses are wonderful. I would say life-changing. I remember Rupert, for example, the spirit who hangs out with me in lighter terms. He made a point to sit down with Emily at the first Sacred Spaces, because that was the first time that they were in the same space and time together, and he wanted to sit down with her just to thank her. And that was really something, which I'll tell you a little short story on that. So Sacred Spaces 1 was the first time that Emily and I were actually together in physical space too. We had been talking for years at that point, and we had been planning the conference. And Rupert was so nervous because he respects her so much. And finally, like, he was like not even hanging out with us at the house because we were staying together. He was not even hanging out with us at the house very much until finally he kept like pinging me to be like, ask her if I can speak with her. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. So from there, um, she was like, oh yeah, sure, I'm just gonna get my PJs. And he was like, no, no. He's like, I would request that you keep, your I forget what he said exactly, but like, basically your professional clothes on, or like your everyday clothes on, because he was just like, I feel uncomfortable being with a woman in her PJs, even if they do cover up everything. you know so from there, yeah, he sat down with her and he just had a few moments to just say how grateful he was about the impact that she has had on my life and my psychic journey and my ability to better trust myself. So that has been absolutely huge. And that wouldn't have happened without this app. So that's something. Um, Crystal Lynn Sophia, who's the other colleague and co-host of mine for Sacred Spaces Gathering. Crystal Lynn is a very accomplished medium and astrologer, and they I finally got the chance to like actually hang out with them this past year, and they've always just been so kind and so considerate, and they are very much the person to really sweep in and be like, okay, well, what do you need? What can I tell you about the planets today? Like, how is your day going? Can I give you space? And it's been really great to have two colleagues such as Crystalline and Emily, where every meeting that we come together for Sacred Spaces, we are excited to see one another, and we give each other space, and we give each other just room to be. And that's so unique. I wish that for every working relationship. I wish that we all could be friends and colleagues. I know that's not always the case, though. I've become so appreciative to them as well as Theron. I mean, Theron and I, we talk about things a lot too. We talk about projects that we're doing and content that we're making, and I'm so grateful to be so involved with people who I genuinely love and care about and appreciate, and how amazing that we found each other from states and states away. We would not have run into each other otherwise. I don't foresee that having happened without this app. So, all right. Other people. I'm gonna go through colleagues, and then I'm gonna go through like other personal connections. So, hang tight. There's like a lot coming. Um, Rebecca Jane. Rebecca Jane, who is Bruja Bones. The way that I found her was on my private community. Somebody had reshared one of her videos, and I saw her, and immediately I was like, she gets it. She gets it. She gets it so hard. So I went to her page and I ran through so much of her content, like hours of content of me just like nodding my head and being like, this person gets it. She gets it. I follow her, obviously. Found out that we're mutuals. I send her a DM, which I rarely ever DM anybody, obviously for like personal reasons, but also because of the scammers. By the way, if anybody DMs you and says that they're me and they want to give you a reading, etc., blah 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 blah, no, it is absolutely not me. If I'm ever DMing, I always like give a lot of like personal traits as far as like, hey, okay, so this is why I'm DMing you. And really with Rebecca, it was when I'm mutually DMing or mutually following somebody, sometimes I will send them a DM of appreciation, and I'll just be like, hey, I just wanted you to know I really appreciate your content. I saw that we were mutuals, and I just hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for helping. And that's what I did with Rebecca. So if I ever send a DM, that's what I'm DMing about. So from there, Rebecca and I start talking, and I befriend her like through Facebook, and from there I was like, dude, she's got to be involved with Sacred Spaces. Like I've never met her before, but like she's just got to come. And wow, did she ever show up. She just had the best attitude. She was regularly just like, hey, what can I do? How can I help? And like now she's like a key figure of Sacred Spaces, and her community is a key part of Sacred Spaces, and that's just been one of the coolest things. And I learned so much from her. I'm actually one of her patrons as well. So not only do I have a Patreon, I also support other people's Patreons because obviously I want to keep learning. Even though Emily, Crystalline, and Rebecca are all colleagues of mine, I'm on their Patreons because one, it's one way that I can show my appreciation for them, but also I keep learning. They are into things that I am not as into. Rebecca, she's writing stuff for the deities right now. Like, yeah, she taught me about like soul structure and timelines. Yeah, I want to keep learning. Now I know so much. So, in another person I wouldn't have run into without TikTok. And also shout out to my Facebook community for that as well. This rock is going into my candle. So I don't think that's good. Oh no, it made it go out. Oh no, now it's like flopping around. Okay, I need to fix this because this is going to bother me. It's going to bother me so much. I'm just like scraping around this candle right now. Oh my goodness. Thanks for still watching my live as I figure out my candle. Oh my goodness. A brief intermission as Rebecca figures out this candle. There we go. Candle is lit. We lit again. All right. And now it's all messy. This is what happens when you put stones on top of a candle. Like, they all just sink into the wick. So I don't know why it's so fashionable to do it, but here we are. Okay. So from there, yeah, other people that I'm still like very much involved with and like actively doing stuff with would be Kid. Spooky Kid is their handle. They're also one of my moderators. They they're one of the people that I met in real life, and they knew about me because of my content, and that's how we met. Basically, they were working at the Wilmington Railroad Museum before I was working there. This was 2020. We also knew each other from the Black Lives Matter protest. And if you're looking at me and you're like, Rebecca, you're white, yes, I'm very aware. My purpose in being in the protest was to hold space so that people, like BIPOC people, could have a voice, and I could be in the way of people keeping them from having a voice. So, yeah. Anyway, we knew each other from that. And then from Wilmington Railroad Museum, they agreed to be in a paranormal investigation with me on my YouTube because they knew of my content. So even though we know each other in real life, like locally, they knew me because of my TikTok, which was really, really cool. They are part of my paranormal investigation team now. It's myself and Theron and Kid, and we have a lot of fun, and we've got some content up on YouTube. If you haven't seen it already, please go check it out. I'm very proud of that because the editing takes so effing long, y'all. It takes so long. So I really appreciate you watching that. Even if you just want to put it on while you go to sleep and put it on repeat, that helps me too. So, yeah, Kid has always been so helpful in encouragement and reminding me what I do for other people, which has always been very, very wonderful. Lauren, aka Lala Lotus, Goodness, she found me through TikTok. I did a reading for her. I did a guide reading for her. Got to meet her guide. That was really fun. This was back in I think 2021, and she was so grateful for the reading, she sent me a bunch of her jewelry for free. And it was like a tip. And I pulled this stuff out and I was just like, whoa, it feels so good. All of this like feels so good. Like the energy is just so clean. I'm adjusting my candle again because another rock fell in. Maybe the rocks are maybe they're a bit too much. Maybe the rocks are a bit too much. Thank you for going on this journey with me. I'm going to scoop that rock out. It's the goldstone. Also going to scoop this rock out, which is something that I don't remember. And we're going to light this candle up again. We're just going to keep going. Because that's how abundance works sometimes. You just got to work on it sometimes. You just got to keep it going. Anyway, I was talking about Lauren. So she sends me this jewelry. And it was so spiritually clean. Like, it was so well Reiki'd. I found out that she does Reiki. And I was just like, wow. And then I sat on it for like, 6 months, I wore it from time to time. And then I was like, you know what? I want to support other small business owners. So I contacted her and I said, hey, do you want to do a collaborative merchandise line? Like, you make the jewelry, I talk to the ghost and myself to help design it and the pieces. And then she finishes it off and she handles all the stuff. And I promote her business. And this was back in 2020. And I remember she was so excited about it. Working with her has been absolutely wonderful. It has been a dream. Like, she is so professional. She has a business degree, and I didn't know that at the time. I just like went off my intuition, and I was just like, I want to work with her. And yeah, okay. I just saw comments that made me smile. Thank you. So yeah, from there we have this merch line, and it's been going really well. We're actually expanding it this year, and those who are part of my online private community, you know about this first. So you are getting specialized made bracelets. I usually wear them for my lives, but I'm not wearing them because I was unpacking today. So that's that. It's very casual today. But yeah, Lauren's been absolutely wonderful. She also does oracle readings. I have gone to her for different readings, and that's been really, really great. So here's to Lauren. And ooh, yes, okay, Krista Capers, you're next. I don't know if you're watching right now, but you are. Krista Capers is one of my moderators. She is a certified emotion code, body code, and belief code practitioner. Yep, there she is, Krista, the emotion and body coder. Yeah. So, goodness, this was back. Krista, I met in person in 2022, I think it was. Yeah, 2022. Came to a Wilmington meetup that I had for my online community. And yeah, we like vibed. And the thing is that we didn't talk like super much, I remember. But Krista got me like on a real level of like, don't overwhelm this poor introvert. Due to some of my own choices and overloading myself with responsibilities, I totally just got very overwhelmed with some things. And I've learned from my mistakes and I don't repeat them anymore. But yeah, I remember it was in 2023, early 2023, that Krista comes to me and is like, hey, what are your moderators doing? Do you need help? And I was like, you know what? You know what, Krista? I really do need help. I really need help getting people to understand when I'm overwhelmed and I've already communicated things and they still don't like effing get it. So Crystal's like, hey, let's create you a strong moderators team for your communities. And I was like, I think that'd be great because I struggled with a lot of my life with asking for help. And Krista, you came to me and you were like, hey, do you need help? And I was just like, you know what? I do need help. So, yeah, guilty. But that's the thing. Krista has become such an accomplished belief code person. I am actually, I'd say co-hosting, but let's be real, Krista. You're the one behind this. It's a mental health summit, and if you want to join my Patreon even for free, go to the most recent post, and we're going to be doing this. It's a mental health and spirituality summit tomorrow, on Saturday. If you're listening to the podcast in post, it will be up. I'll be reposting it for Patreon later in the week by the time you actually hear the podcast. But for those of you who are watching now, you're welcome to join us live tomorrow. And I'm just so impressed, Krista. I'm so impressed with all the things that you do to assist others. You're a true healer. I would say you are a master healer. And if you don't want to brag about yourself, I absolutely will, because I believe in you and everybody who has worked with you absolutely believes in you. So, Krista's great. Let's see. Next up, Marlene. Speaking of master healers, oh my goodness. Marlene doesn't have a huge social media presence. It just I met her through Rebecca Jane at Sacred Spaces, and I have learned so much about healing from her. She is more involved in Rebecca's community. It's part of something called the Temple of Chaos. And the point of it is you go to the temple when your life is in chaos to better understand how to not be living in chaos. That's the point of it, which that always really resonated with me. And I'm just grateful. Marlene always comes in with like a wonderful attitude. She has also become a staple of Sacred Spaces gathering. And I don't feel that I'd be able to do the things that I'm doing now without her influence and her kindness and just her being a real person, a kind person, you know? From there, yeah, okay. Now I'm getting into my moderators a bit more. So big shout out for Caitlin O'Shea. Caitlin is one of my moderators. Caitlin, I met through a consultation and we hit it off really well. And from there, she became a part of my community. And wow, did she ever become a part of my community? She heads up Spiritual Study Hall, which is a place where people can come together and just talk about like what they're learning spiritually and like where they're at and ask each other questions. And it's been a wonderful place, and she has been heading that up. She has always been so kind to people. She is always ready to help, and that has certainly been seen, and not just by me. She's become a staple of my community. She's become a staple of Sacred Spaces gathering, and she's one of those people that's just, she's everybody's friend, you know, like, and that's just so beautiful. So she's usually on my lives, and I can't wait to tell her that I talked about her on my live. She was in here. But like with all of my moderators, you'll know, like it's not like a requirement to be on my lives. I want this to be fun. So I just think it'll be a fun thing for her later to be like, by the way, I was talking about you. So yeah. Okay. Other folks, yeah. I wanted to mention Katie Corley, who I've been working with on social media stuff as of late. I also met Katie through my community, and I met her through. I got to know her better through Intuitive Entrepreneurship Club, because a lot of us, we come to that table and we talk about like what we're doing and the dreams that we have, and some of it's like for hobbies and some for like work. And she came and she was just like, hey, I am working on something to assist with like social media and being able to plan out strategy and that kind of thing. And I heard about it and it kind of like went away in my mind. And then like a few months later, I remembered it again. And I was in a place where I wanted somebody to look at my social media, understand it. And she also falls within my demographic. So I was like, okay, this is all really working out. I've been working with her like every other week to every week on just strategy. And literally this past week, I called her my my social media, or like my marketing therapist. Not in the sense that we're doing psychology stuff, but like to be able to have somebody who understands that world and understands the statistics and the analytical side of things, to be able to just like bounce ideas off of, has just been very, very wonderful to have. So thank you, Katie. Other Angela, oh my goodness, Angela. So Angela helps me head up Intuitive Entrepreneurship Club. And when I first talked to her, I was just like, okay, she's a business professional. She has these wonderful credits on her resume. She comes across like a real person. Like, and I asked her, I was like, hey, would you want to co-host this thing with me? And she was just like, oh yeah, that sounds wonderful. Da, da, da. Then I realized that like she teaches this professionally, like college level stuff. Like she teaches entrepreneurship. She teaches business and stuff. And so like we're sitting down for the first meeting and she has like a whole PowerPoint. And I was like, whoa, like somehow I totally missed how perfect you are to assist me with this. She's also playing a larger role of assisting us with Sacred Spaces Gathering, and that's been really, really cool. let's see, I'm adding more people to my list because of reasons. Now everybody's coming. So, Angela, wow, amazing. I look forward to our relationship moving forward as well. So, next up, Spirituality with Sam is her handle. Samantha is her name. And I also met her through TikTok. I did a live with her. She came to Sacred Spaces. And I have just been enjoying learning from her. She looks at spiritualism. It's like similar but different from how I do. She very much channels in a higher frequency than I typically go to. And we've learned a lot from each other because she's channeling on a higher frequency and I'm channeling on a lower frequency, and we're able to cross validate things even still. So that's been really cool. Sam is also in North Carolina, so I imagine we're going to meet up at some point, though every time that I'm on her side of North Carolina, we keep missing each other, and maybe she'll come down here. So that's also been really cool. Once again, people I would not have known without TikTok. Other folks, my moderators. My moderators. We have a close knit group in our moderators group. And thank you for subscribing to my YouTube. I literally just looked out and saw that. Thank you, thank you. Please subscribe to my YouTube and my Instagram. I would really, really appreciate that because you don't know where TikTok's going to be soon. So because I had trouble asking for help for the longest time, really my moderators group became the people who were just the loudest and who kind of pushed their way into my sphere. And that's not good. The point of having moderators, the point of having support is that they understand when you need help, but they also don't stand in your way of you being able to do what it is you need to do. Whether that's content, whether that's events, whether that's sometimes removing people from a group because they are not adhering to rules or they're not meshing well with the group, taking on leadership responsibilities, taking on the stuff that we don't like to think about with leadership responsibilities, which is when people don't play well, we have to do something about it, right? So I've had some moderators in the past who I've since had to let go because their point in being on my moderators team was to amp up their own businesses and their own personal things rather than actually be there to help, not only help me, but help like each other. So, to all of my moderators, what we have formed has been wonderful. Theron's one of my moderators, by the way. Krista, who I mentioned before, Theron was actually my first moderator. So I remember at the time I was like, oh yeah, I don't really have moderators. Like, people seem pretty fine in the chat. And Theron was like, oh my goodness, I need to help you. So Theron's a moderator. Krista, of course, as I mentioned. Kid is also a moderator. Kid was one of my first moderators as well because Kid was also looking at my lives and being like, yo. Next up, Lisa, ma'am. I met ma'am. I think, ma'am, you said you actually found me through YouTube. So, yay, YouTube. And ma'am and I found a lot of similarities through understanding the 18th century, because ma'am came out and was like, I'm a reenactor. I know a lot of history. And I was like, I have a ghost and I'm confused about it. So, yeah, I do believe that ma'am found me for so many reasons, similarly to Caitlin. Caitlin, also one of my mods, and we have connections together through various lives, and I feel truly like I have another mother, and I'm really grateful for that. So, ma'am, you really showed up at a time. You really showed up at a time, and you've been steadfast and true, and I love you. So, other folks, Gail, who's on here, Abigail, if you don't mind me saying your name, but yeah, you also, you've always just been straightforward. You've always just been so real. I appreciate that so much. Like, you just come forward and you're like, this is what it is. I'm like, thank you. Yeah, I actually I have some of your handkerchiefs, which I said I was going to return to you at some point. They are still here. I actually have both of them. So Gail is the kind of person to provide me handkerchiefs when I'm crying and I can't do anything about it. So I have two here that she has provided to me. So thank you, Gail. You're my favorite grandma, even though I think you're technically younger than me. But I say that with love. Other folks I want to mention. So Paige is one of my moderators. Paige and I, goodness, Paige booked a consult with me back when I was still living in the bus. So that was 2021. And it's been a wild ride ever since. We have connections in other realms that have come forward in this. So really, with all of this, I'm just so reminded how much more connected we are, and how when you're meant to find people, they absolutely will find you, and you don't even have to try, so long as you're working on yourself to be in a better place. Paige has offered me so much space to just like vent and stuff, and that's kind of like where we are. And for the first time, Sacred Spaces 1, all of my moderators except for Kid were actually able to be together. And that's looking to happen again for Sacred Spaces 3. And I'm just so amazed. Like, I'm honored that y'all found me, and that you were like, hey, I'm gonna invest my time or my energy or my space or my email or like whatever into me. And wow, here we are, right? Other people of note, I did want to give a special shout out to Danny and Meg, who I met through Sacred Spaces. I believe I met both of y'all first through Sacred Spaces, maybe a consultation, but like, you stand out in my mind for like the amazing things that you've done at Sacred Spaces to just like be calm and put together and make it a wonderful event for everybody. So thank you. And let's see, I'm running through the list. Anybody else that stands out in my mind? Because there have been so many people, but these are the people that are present. I think it really says something when you have people who have seen you for longer and actually care about you as a person. Thank you, Danny. I've gone through a lot of situations where I'm trying to figure out like how to care about myself, but then also expect other people to actually care about me, if they're gonna be like real, you know. And I'm grateful that I have found people who do that. Other honorable mentions, people in my workshops. Y'all, thank you. Thank you. Tom, I'll give you a shout out. Our unofficial historian for Williamsburg showed up to Williamsburg. Other people in my workshops, like Elena and Russ, like, y'all have just shown up, and you work on yourselves and you try and you move forward. I'm not going to mention everybody in my workshops because I feel like that'd be weird for some of y'all, but like, please know I see you. The people who are regularly showing up in the social calls for the private community, the people who have been a part of the community, thank you. The people who showed up to Sacred Spaces gathering, like, I'm seeing some of you in the chat, like you wanted to be a part of something, and because you were being true to yourself, you found other people who were going to be true to you. And that's something that I had to learn for myself. I had to learn how to be true to myself so that I could attract people who would be true to themselves and then be true to me as a result. And I have learned so much. I have learned so much since I started posting videos about myself, about ghosts, about just everybody. The best people find me. That's right. And I've been working on that to believe it. I am so grateful. I have thought about my fears and concerns with TikTok going away eventually, I guess. And I am being taught again to trust that if I'm putting the work into me, that the right people will continue to find me, and that's what matters the most. I've had to learn so much about how to not overpost, to not be a slave to the algorithm, to things that didn't work for me, and to have a better understanding of my mental health and my anxiety and the things that I need to do. And that I truly do feel like I am here because my purpose in this is not just to share stories and do cool psychic tricks. My purpose in this is to teach people. And I believe in that so much. And I just thank you so much for y'all believing in me so that I could do that. I never could have imagined that I would be doing this. It was not on my dreams board, you know? I never thought that I would be able to do all the things that I could do until I started doing them. And then so many of you were there too to encourage me to keep doing it. Because if you thought you could believe in me, you could believe in yourself. And thank you. Thank you. All that to say, if you want this to continue in some capacity, yeah, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube. And you can join my Patreon for free. It is my mailing list. So if you want to be on my mailing list, if you want to know about when the book comes out, when the exciting things are moving forward and all of that, that's what it's going to be. So yeah, I'm still on the internet, so this is not goodbye at all. Like, my life is changing in a very good way, but it is certainly not goodbye. So yeah. That being said, I wanted to open up to questions, and while I'm waiting for questions to come through, I thought I would show you some of the things behind me that I love so much. Thank you, Pattern Scribe. You're the reason I let myself believe my spirituality could be a blessing. Thank you for saying that. Thank you, Rebecca. Yes, Rebecca, also one of my workshoppers, yeah. Says, you teach so well, I've learned so much. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, let me see. So, things I would like to show you. Ooh, I'll show you my big peacock ore real quick. This is a peacock ore. It is a rock. And, oh, thank you for saying that, Rin. You helped me feel comfortable with my own sensitivity. I am so glad. Thank you for sharing that. My peacock ore, I got at the rock shop in California. Emily took me there when I was out there. And it's so cool and it's so big. And when I went through the airport at Reno, I got pulled aside because they saw it on their x-ray machine and they didn't know what to do with it. So then they unwrapped it, they pulled it out, and they were like, whoa, what is that? And I was like, it's a peacock ore. You can get it from the rock shop. And then they let me continue. So it is a giant peacock ore, and it makes me very happy. And by the way, if you are not familiar with the rock shop in California, it is so affordable. Like, it really reminds me how overcharged so many rocks are nowadays. Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. So thank you for being so inclusive of everyone. Yes. Oh goodness, I would not put it in storage. Not at all. Ooh, another fun thing. This was given to me by my moderator in college. She is now an intimacy coordinator in Atlanta, Georgia, and I did a video with her that's on my YouTube because she was interested in Molly, and Molly was interested in her. Thank you. Thank you for everything you've done. You were there for me when many weren't. I'm glad. Other things of interest. That is my altar for Hecate. I don't often show it, and I'm not going to be pulling it down, but I made it myself, and it's veiled especially, and I made the imagery on the inside because she is veiled, and I thought that would be respectful. The Hermes altar, of course, featuring Andre de Shields, of course, which I will probably also feature something, like I was thinking of making a new picture, which will be like Andre de Shields, the guy who plays Hermes in Epic, And then also, because Andre de Shields played the original Hermes on Broadway for Hadestown, which is one of my favorite musicals. In fact, I have a bunch of playbills here because I've seen Hadestown so many times. One was with the original cast on Broadway before the shutdown. So, yeah, Andre de Shields was Hermes there, and then the guy from Epic, I think I might put him on there, and then also the Hermes interpretation from Lore Olympus. Those are my three favorite. What epic song am I and why? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. That's such a good question, and I love that question. I will need to figure it out. Thank you for everything. You saved me by believing in me. Help me where I'm at now. Help you get to, or help put me where I am now. Thank you for saying that. Also, I love the name Blueberry Moon. Love that. Yeah. All of these rocks, which you can kind of see up here, are rocks that I've gotten on my travels. And this candle was actually a gift from one of you from like years ago, and I pulled it out and I repurposed it for a Hermes candle. I thought red was an appropriate color for him for a variety of reasons. So, other things, I put my passport up there because he's the god of travel, or the Hellenistic god of travel, and also my gay, my pride beads, because Hermes. Hermes, who I believe would be considered pansexual polyamorous, which I definitely identify as well. So, if you got Star Blessing when you were at Sacred Spaces, it's Enchanted Golden Glitter. That's up there on my altar space. And also that one in the middle there is my higher self altar space. You can't see all of it, and that's intentional. So, another thing, I got these wooden carvings. One is of a revolutionary soldier and a woman with like mostly yellow and blue accents. And I was like, that's amazing. So that was from one of you as well. Yeah, oh goodness, I missed some of your gifts. I'm sorry about that. But thank you for giving them. Let's see, other things. This bit right here is also from one of you. It features parts of this person's wedding bouquet. She gave me a little flower and like butterfly in this like little lantern from her wedding bouquet, and I was just like, ah. Another one from one of you, one of my community members actually, who made a vase and then put a key on it, and then like also made it out of pages from a book. I thought that was really cool. And I also have like things from theater here. This is a mask that I got when I was in Venice. It was like this lovely little shop that was like away from everything else. And this super nice lady who didn't speak English, and I got to actually utilize my Italian at that time, she painted all of these various rocks from my travels. These are like home life things. And this is dirt from where my grandparents were and where I was partially where I grew up in. So I have some dirt from there. And yeah, this is a rock from there too. My favorite rocks look like this because they're from Piedmont, North Carolina. And let's see. I have part of a ticket. I have some like ticket stubs from there for different things. Some of the candles that I've retired. Yeah, I've got like some stuffed animals down here from my childhood. They very much made me feel safe when I did not feel safe from spiritual stuff. Also, how funny. I just literally made this connection today. This is a Beanie Baby, right? His name is Pepper, and he's a black dog, and he was one of my go-to safety, like, plushies when I was a child. And I find it so funny that now I'm so heavily involved and I work with Hecate, and one of her signals is a black dog, and that's one of my soul signs. So I was literally talking to Theron today, and I was like, isn't it funny that one of my favorite childhood plushies that I like forgot about and then recently reacquired is a black dog? Isn't it funny how things work out like that? Like, for example, goodness, one of you asked earlier, like, if, if deities can work with you in different lifetimes, if they like seek you out, etc. Yeah, I just didn't know how long until I did. Yeah, so cool. I'm kind of scrolling back to see if there are questions. Star blessings. Yeah. So, well, at Sacred Spaces 3, you'll just have to come and get some star blessings because I am definitely going to be having them again. Basically, if you ever saw somebody like slightly kneeling and me doing this over their head, I was giving them a little blessing. So, anybody at Sacred Spaces 3, you are welcome to have a blessing, so long as I'm like literally not in the middle of trying to go do something Sacred Spaces leadership related. So, um, speaking of Sacred Spaces, yeah, buttons, fun. Also, my pass to Williamsburg because I have an annual pass. Ooh, this was something fun I found in Wilmington. Ta-da! It was just there, just like old. I don't know, came from a house. Yeah. Oh yes, you got some. Good, good. This is jewelry from my grandmother. It's like costume jewelry. I don't know if it's like actually worth anything, but that's also not the point. So it means something to me. Ooh, this one though. This is, it was a gift from my uncle, and it's Roman. Like it's literally from ancient Rome, and he gifted it to me when I became a part of the International Thespian Society. So yeah, yeah, he loved finding various bits in the wild. Pottery from the 18th century. Yeah, that's the thing. Only thing was, it was in an area that was primarily 19th century. So, or as far as like the buildings go. So it might have been like a recreation or something like that. Yeah. Oh, I won't show all this, but that was the first card that Theron gave me. He, they made it themselves. They drew it. Also, this is Hildy the Hen. This was hand crocheted by Emily Dexter when I went to visit her out in Tahoe. So yeah, that's the thing. All of my things have stories, and for me, it's not about the material value of it. It's far more about like what's the story behind it, and that's really what matters to me. So stories about people that I knew, my drama class in high school, my roommates in college, like all that sort of thing. So yeah, I wanted to show it to you because that's what matters to me. But yeah, sometimes I will be here for the upcoming year, and sometimes I will be in the van. So get ready for that. Some of the meetings that I've taken for Patreon have already been in the van, which have been an adventure, especially seeing me all like bundled up and being like, they do bring me joy. Yeah, everything has a story. My memory really, really kicks in when it comes to how I acquire objects because, yeah, really, if I'm going to keep something, I want it to have a story. And this is not all my stuff. So if you've ever gifted me something or you're wondering where something is, I do have them. It's just I only have so much space here. So I just put this up. So yeah. Anywho, goodness, I felt a lot of feelings. And I don't know if you can hear the children screaming in the room behind me right now, but they most certainly are. And I'm kind of done with that. So I think I'm going to pop off, but I don't feel like this is going to be my last TikTok live, but I do like the idea of finishing things is if, oh, you can. Yep, sorry about that. I wish I could do something about it, but they're not mine. Anywho, yeah, I'll go ahead and pop off then. But yeah, should this be my last TikTok live? I hope that you will follow me on other places like YouTube and Instagram. Follow my email list, which is on Patreon. You can do that for free. And yeah, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here for all of this. I love you. Love you so much too. So everybody take care. Yeah. as I always say at the end of my podcast, what are my words? Thank you. Thank you. Everybody stay curious. And remember, understanding fights fear. I'll see you soon, one way or another.